So I thought I'll start with the applications question, which is actually given to the representation from Airports Authority and ISRO. They have addressed this question to these two departments. The question is that, has Gagan been tried for precision farming? Is there any test application in irrigation kind of things using Gagan? Is it possible to locate water zones for drilling bore wells in farmer fields with accuracy by using Gagan and combination of ISRO capabilities? So this question goes to Dr. Diwakar and representation from Airports Authority of India.
Okay, let me answer first part of it. See, as Airports Authority of India, we have provided the signal in space. See, how to utilize the signal in space is an application just to be developed. So the application development is another domain which is not the domain of Airports Authority of India. So we are providing a signal in space which meets all the requirements. So it is left to the individual users, the departments, and the application developers to utilize the signal and develop applications. So ISRO, if they can answer.
That's a good question, and I have a couple of answers for this particular question. As has been told nicely by our colleague, Mr. Sudhir, we have evaluated the use of Gagan on the ground, and we are able to see mostly it is able to give us less than 2 meter accuracy. That is one point everybody need to note. And at times it is even better than 2 meter or possibly close to 1 meter. Looking at the promise this gave, the Karnataka Forest Department came forward. They wanted to establish their exact boundary of the Forest Department, particularly in those areas where possibly disputes could be there. So that is an area where they have taken up for use, number one. Number two, we wanted to see whether it can help us in navigation on the ground. So what we did is we did a small experiment. We took a small Gagan dongle, which costs about 5,000 rupees. You can connect it to your tablet PC, put the Gagan dongle on the top of your vehicle, drive the vehicle on the road. We were able to see that most of the time, the points which we got was sticking right in the center of the road with respect to the driver. So that way, we are able to do, road mapping, for example. We also wanted to try whether, for example, you go on a flyover and you go underneath the flyover, what happens? We were able to see even the difference with respect to the height, which is able to capture very accurately. Now somebody has asked about groundwater. Basically, as you all know that from space we are able to get the groundwater potential maps. So you know the areas where groundwater is available with respect to the maps. All you need to do is a resistivity survey or a conductivity survey, and based on that it is possible for you to use Gagan for geolocation, so that you can have Gagan dongle with your resistivity survey put together, do the ground control, do the pointing, and this particular point can be transferred onto the map so that you have the exact GPS point of the location where you are going to drill this particular borehole. So that way there is tremendous promise for using Gagan on the ground for the entire region. Thank you. I hope I have answered all the questions.
The word precision agriculture has been used by the questioner. I think I may relate one initiative that we are undertaking in AP, which is a project called Harita, where we're trying to harmonize the information relating to agriculture, irrigation, and revenue in a meaningful way, and adding certain other technologies to it. So one of which is the sensor-based, wireless sensor-based application. We are doing it in Anantapur district, 5 villages and 100 sensors, 500 acres we are covering currently in the ongoing Rabi season. So the idea is that the sensors are kept at sub-canopy level, and then they gather the information relating to soil moisture and leaf moisture and ambient temperature and humidity, and interpret it suitably at the central location, and then give the advice, timely advice to the farmer when the next dose of application or of irrigation or fertilizer or pesticide is needed. It can also forecast the certain identified pest attacks, which depending on the condition of the particular crop, it is prone to an attack. It forewarns by at least a week. So this we are trying it out in the, it has nothing to do of course with Gagan signal or anything like that. The communication is actually, as I mentioned, it is a wireless technology in the local loop, and then each village will have a controlling station, which then takes it to the central server. So that is precision agriculture. We are trying it out in this current Rabi season. If there is a positive result, we will expand it to more villages in the next Kharif.
Mr. Pawar, would you like to add something on this? Because your presentation was more about grassroots applications of GIS and making things at the grassroots level feel, making it feel like real. So would you like to add something about this question where he's talking about using geospatial or combination of GNSS and things like that for the agriculture, watershed?
I just want to make a comment on what you mentioned when you talked about the fact that when the cyclone happened, and because the cyclone happened, many agencies came together. So to me, I think our bigger challenge is not on whether we can solve specific problems or we don't have inadequate resolution. So
Because the cyclone happened and because we had a CM like Mr. Naidu there.
yeah, so I think the real challenge for us is that we are quite well equipped to do very much more than what we are doing right now. I think that's the central point. So the issue really is how do we bring to bear these various capabilities to solve specific problems. And to me, I think that's our bigger challenge. And no one person in the room can solve that challenge. So how do we, so therefore a GIS policy, for example, or a digital nation, how will we integrate the distributed capacities and capabilities so that the problems which are specified, then we can see whether we need 2 meter or 1 meter or we need ground up. The tools exist, the capability exists, the brilliance of people exists, all that exists. Now the question really is how are we going to make this work? And to me, that's really the issue at hand. I think the capacity exists and the talent surely exists. I've seen exceptional work being done by hundreds of our engineers in GIS and scientists in GIS. So that capacity exists. To me, I think the real issue is what will galvanize us to work around specific issues and problems. To me, that's the bigger challenge.
Thank you. And this question was actually asked by Mr. Reddy from Department of Horticulture, Government of Andhra Pradesh. I just thought that I'll take the name of the person who has asked the question in the end. So as a follow-up question, sir, the next question is actually addressing about policy of capacity development. So, and this is to Mr. R.S. Pawar. The question is that in the era where leading policy and decision makers of India are talking about sustainable and smart India, and an IIT is working in the collaboration with academic institutions as well as private and public agencies. Don't you think there's a need of a strong policy to utilize the research going on in the corridors of NIITs and IITs in collaboration with private public organizations to geospatially empower government and enterprises?
I think I'll just repeat because the same thing is valid. There is capacity and capability. We have to build much more talent. Goes without saying, because when the states are beginning to even implement the e-governance projects which need GIS, they're falling short of hand. So capacity has to be built for rollout and implementation. And I guess it comes back to policy. And it comes back to the implementation of the policy around specific problems and specific issues. So the rollouts that have to be done at the state level and at the central level are questions of policy makers, administrators, political leaders now putting their heads together to say which problem do we want to solve using this. So to that extent, I think it's valid and that we need to now work with our policy makers and administrators and the larger political system to tell them what we have. I think that education perhaps is something from NIT side we would volunteer to offer, to say what do we have? Because in Rajasthan, where I'm involved in the Chief Minister's Advisory Council, Rajasthan has done a lot of work on GIS, and in that council we spend a lot of time that whenever any group is making a presentation, we try and get them. And Dr. Kasturirangan was a member in the previous regime when Vasundhara was Chief Minister. Sensitize them to saying that whether any problem, any large, whether it's education, whether it's health, whether it's water, whether it's road, whenever we were looking at issues, we'd say, okay, now let's put a GIS lens on this to see how can we manage that, how can we solve that problem using information which we are getting from the sources. So there is a need for education. I take that as a point to say that our policymakers have to be able to connect all the capacity, that capability we have as the tools to solve the problem that they're dealing with. That education, I think, needs to be prioritized, perhaps.
Thank you. Yeah, Dr. Diwakar.
I think the point is very well taken, sir. In addition to that, I still feel that there is a need for capacity to be developed, because we are talking about a wide-ranging use of geospatial technology through Digital India and things like that. I feel a big outreach program is required where industry can play a very major role. Possibly using the SATCOM technology. We are talking about tele-education, for example. Tele-education networks can be used even by the private industries in a big way, so that you can take the technology to the grassroots. I think this could be an additional tool which possibly will help to reach out to the common man in a big way.
Then let me take an opportunity to say that at the NIT University, we are offering an MTech program in GIS, and we are struggling to find bright young students who've done, let's say, a master's in geography or similar subjects to come forward, because they don't quite know what the opportunities are. So at this time, then we decided we'll work with the Rajasthan government. So all the universities, departments which are giving geography, we're asking them to nominate people, because we'll have a batch of 30 or 40, and by the way, that scholarship comes from Jack Dengerman, the ESRI chief. So I think we're trying to propagate this idea, and to me that is more doable. Educating our leaders on the possibilities and the fact that talent exists. I think this, to me, will make a bigger difference on the implementation. So, but not to miss the point that we need to build a lot of talent.
Thank you. Actually, I have a follow-up question to Mr. J. Satyanarayan, because, sir, I want to compliment you on making a very wonderful presentation on a possible state-level geospatial policy framework. I think you have simplified the whole complexity which we always talk about in a very small manner, talking about standards, sharing protocols, acquisition, as well as the GIS portal and capacity. You touched upon all the 5 very important aspects which should be a part of the policy. And compliments to you for making it very simply, So do you think, I also wanted to say that there was it's a chicken and egg story, that students feel that there are no, good universities where we can go and talk, study about serious, geotechnical education. And universities don't get the students. And when people pass out from various institutions, they don't get jobs, whereas the industry keeps on complaining that they're not getting good resource. Because this is the chicken and egg story, I think, and looking at this, where you have to basically create a higher level of not only awareness, but also a trust in the students, that if the bright students also pursue this, subject, he will be able to get a good quality job. So as part of a policy mechanism which you are looking at, do you plan to set up or make a provision, because policy is always an enabling tool, to make a provision for a high level or rather more advanced university for geospatial education?
Yeah, I think it's a very important point. I did mention that there was a committee constituted pursuant to Chairman ISRO's meeting with our Honorable Chief Minister, who made a number of recommendations. I showed only the application part of that in the slides, but there were a number of other recommendations, like building certain institutions and also building capacities. And a specific recommendation in that regard is to design a course for education in GIS and related technologies. So this will be recommended to all the universities. We'll take a leaf from what Rajendra has just mentioned, that they have already designed the curriculum for such a course, and it is very much one of the recommendations, and it's going to be part of the policy.
Thank you. And this question was from IIT Roorkee. A research scholar known as Anuj Tiwari had put this question from IIT Roorkee to the panel. Third question is in 2 pages, so let me see what I can do with this. Is the technological development a boon or a bane? As a human being, we are losing our significance in the robotic world. In the race of technological development, we are digging our own graves by ignoring health hazards caused by the technological development in various sectors, like sea level rise, melting of glaciers, increase of cancer cases, and so and so and so. So the question is basically, is the technology development is a boon or a bane?
I would always say, being a technologist, technology is always a boon, not a bane. Because of the technology, we are able to save lives of the people. Because of the technology, we are able to give a lot of very good solutions, which were very, very difficult earlier days. You take any area today, especially the health, for example, you are able to solve many of the very difficult problems. You are able to enhance the life of the people on earth. Certainly technology is very, very important. If you are talking about robotics, yes, robotics is very important. Almost life is now without robotics. There is no possibility. In your house, without washing machine, I'm sure you will get a lot of bangings at your house from your wives. You can't live without washing machines, for example. It's a robotic technology which is at place. Similarly, there are many examples like that I can quote, which is being significantly used. We are using robotics not only on the Earth, we are using it in space also. For example, we are able to send out robots not only to Moon, even to Mars, to explore the other planets. It is a great science which is giving us a lot of information about interplanetary solutions. So that way, I think technology certainly should not be ignored. There are problems with respect to the climate change, with respect to the various other problems which one faces, but always there is a solution where as a community one can address it. Certainly there is a huge awareness today in the whole world on the climate change. But how do we know, how do we understand the climate change? Again, through a lot of technological advantages what we have got in the form of ECVs, which we are able to make. We are able to have climate quality data on the portals, which allows you to understand what's the situation on the earth today. If there is a sea level rise, we are able to establish that because, again, of the technology. So we are understanding our own Mother Earth because of the technology. So I think technology is always a boon, not a bane.
Any other comment on this? I think we're all good. Okay, so I will have some questions. Question goes to, again, a combination of ISRO and Airports Authority of India. The Prime Minister has a big emphasis on Make in India program, which is very much driven to motivate industry for manufacturing. With this Gagan shaping up, as well as the Indian regional navigation satellite systems coming up in it's already, I think, few of the satellites are already in the orbit, and few more are going to come very soon. And by 2016, we will have a complete coverage and providing the right from Mauritius to Indonesia, something like that. Coverage will be there. Do you foresee a kind of policy to encourage Indian companies to get into manufacturing devices which can, use these signals for actually taking your message forward in various application areas and make an affordable GNSS system for farming, fishing, water resources, everything?
Yes, certainly. I agree. Already, Civil Aviation Ministry has formed an inter-ministerial group to look into how to utilize Gagan signals for various applications. So tomorrow also we are going to have a workshop on this particular subject, and we are putting invitations to many of the ministries as well as the application developers, industry. So all can come and participate in this workshop and come out with strategies how to utilize Gagan signals and develop indigenous applications, indigenous products which can help in developing the country and also promote Make in India policy of our Honorable Prime Minister.
As you rightly said, tomorrow I think we'll have our scientists from ISRO Satellite Center also, who will be there on this particular session, especially I think on SatNav. Gagan will be one of the focus there. You will get to know more about what will happen. But certainly industry has been with ISRO in building the satellite, for example, in realizing the sensors. And industry has been with ISRO even in making the launch vehicles, which has put all these satellites into their respective orbits. So more than 200 industries are working with ISRO for all these missions, both the spacecraft as well as the launch vehicles. We are working with them. As I have already told in my presentation also, there is a simple 5,000 rupees worth dongle which is already available, which can be bought out. It is there in the industry today, which can be used like a USB port on your laptop, and you can take your laptop on the way, and you will get Gagan signals right there, and you will be able to get the points what you are looking out for. So this is going to further get enhanced down the line. Maybe we have to port it onto an Android platform, which is not right now there. That is the focus with which people are working towards, so that you can have this particular chipset on an Android platform, so that you can use it on your mobile platform itself. I'm sure these things are going to be there, and industry will come out in a very big way to support the SBAS signal of the Gagan in a short time.
Thank you. My next question is to Mr. Pawar. Sir, I met you about 10 years back, first time, and I asked you that what was your vision when you started an IIT? And you responded to me that there is nothing known as vision, but an idea which works, and in future you realize that that was your vision. So what is your idea for geospatial students or those people who are willing to take geospatial as a profession in future? And this question is very important because we have about 300 students coming tomorrow, and some of them are already here. And we have a geospatial youth forum for 2 days where the students are presenting their studies and things like that. So you've been a very big advocate and kind of thought leader in this field. I would like to have your ideas for tomorrow's geospatial professionals.
I think we heard that the time for GIS is now in the morning session. And I personally, as I said, it resonates with me because if we look at the articulation of a digital India idea, just as an idea, or we are beginning to roll out and look at urbanization and put some kind of structure, if you call them smart cities or whatever, I think the time now is right to work on very large-scale projects, all of which will depend quite a lot on geography as the basis. So if Aadhaar has tagged people, GIS is tagging everything else. Everything else is being tagged by GIS. So governance eventually is about managing resources in geography. So the time is ripe. First, that's the message. So I'm personally very excited about the opportunity that's going to open up if this policy converts into plan. That has to happen. So students who, whatever discipline they're coming from, if they start getting, if they're encouraged to figure out ways by which they will connect objects, resources, knowledge, whatever, tag it and then connect it. I think that's the whole game. So then the opportunities for young people to create economic value is going to be enormous. So my only suggestion to these young people would be to just get a good working knowledge of the tools and technologies around GIS, and then hopefully not just wait, but embark. So for example, for now, the big applications which since maps are being released and you can tag stuff, the crowdsourcing applications, in Delhi alone we have seen for safety, there are so many crowdsourcing applications. They're all dependent on the same basic information of maps with a certain level of accuracy. All we're saying is now we can put layers and layers of information which make it useful for an individual to take a decision about where they want to go, where they want to eat, how they want to buy, what they want to do. And with the device in their hands, it's the whole idea of apps. And apps is the new big opportunity. So youngsters who can relate to this issue of geography and connecting of information and tying up different layers of information, they're all sitting on a minefield of opportunities as entrepreneurs. Not just that they have to be part of the large space project, but apps that use this information can create economic value or convenience for normal citizens. It's already happening. So I would encourage them when they come tomorrow to see that they should start seeing how the ideas of GIS, the concept which all of you are working on, which tie together things. You know, the how many cows will give 1,000 liters of milk so that you can, and how far can you go in 4 hours? These are real problems of life. So the opportunity to take digital resources all over the place, I think it's quite enormous. But the issue of guiding our youth to look at this area and then be entrepreneurial, that's the role of leadership, that's the role of all of us here. So I personally see a very, very big movement right in front of us for young people to embark on this field.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Yeah, just continuing what Mr. Rajendra Pawar has mentioned, I think it is also time for innovation in India. Otherwise, the slogan of Make in India will be somewhat reduced in its impact. Because Make in India also conveys the meaning that you design for India and then make it in India. Because the volumes are there, the market is there, and so on. So for promoting innovation, we need to have to take proactive steps. And I may say from the perspective of the government of Andhra Pradesh, we came up with a policy on innovation, innovation and capacity building policy, which is again there on our website. And the objective of that policy is to encourage the young minds who are in their colleges and not yet even completed their education, to make them think in an entrepreneurial way, in an innovative way, and come up with new products, solutions, or new technologies even. And this is, we have started the concept of, launched the concept of startup, Sunrise Startups. In Vizag, we have already launched an infrastructure for that, and about 50 startups have already started functioning from there. And we want to promote that, and our goal is that by 2020 we have 5,000 startups established, and even if a percentage of that, small percentage of those startups make products which are really, game changers, then we have a different seen altogether in India. So we are working in the direction of promoting innovation in the state.
In fact, sir, my next question is to Mr. Satyanarayan is, when you're framing this state level policy on GIS, do you foresee kind of taking one step forward and integrating building information modeling as part of the same policy, which will also enable tagging each and every information inside the buildings? Because most of the time we spend in office or home, and we use a lot of features and information in the buildings, like we're sitting in the building at the moment as well, and suppose we have to go to G006, where is that place from here now? And in case of like indoor mapping and indoor navigation, as well as construction and management of the whole infrastructure indoor, do you foresee that this policy might also touch upon the BIM, which is the trend of the world?
Yeah, certainly that is quite a possibility. While as you mentioned earlier, the policy is a very high level document. It would not perhaps go into the nitty-gritty of how things are made, but it will promote innovation as such, coupled with the innovation policy which is already published and notified by us. The other important point I would like to mention is that if you have seen in that big busy diagram of the architecture that I had thrown up, along with the land and GIS, there are certain core data elements identified there, data sets, land being one of them, and GIS, the spatial part of it, is the second. The people, which is an Aadhaar-based identification of people of this, residents of this state, is the third one. And also entities, meaning all companies and firms and the artificial persons, is the fourth one. And the last but not least is the IoT, the things. The various machines that we work with, and the gadgets and the devices that we work with, each is going to have its own identity in future. So in the enterprise architecture, we have provided for an approach to IoT also. So within the GIS policy, yes, what you mentioned, within structures and within cities, what kind of approach needs to be taken will be part of the policy.
Thank you, sir. We have another 5-7 minutes to conclude this panel. Another question has come to me, very interesting question, and this is to Airports Authority of India. A gentleman asked a question that in the clear sky and bright sunny day, video capturing of landing scene from a video fixed at the eyes position of a pilot in landing area, and dynamic tagging of the video with the geotagging kind of stuff, everything can be captured. And the same information could be used when there is a fog. Is it possible to do that?
I don't think. When it is fog, video capturing is...
No, he says video has captured. Suppose you keep on landing and then you capture that, and next time when you're landing, it's a fog. So maybe the same video, he can use it to feel real time.
No, it's not possible. It's not possible to do that way. So,
sorry. So thanks. I would like to come back to Dr. Diwakar, and Dr. Diwakar, it was very encouraging to hear from you about participation of business enterprises in, commoditizing geospatial technology and the information and all. And in fact, this afternoon only, while I was moderating this session, I got a message from the Prime Minister's office wishing good luck to India Geospatial Forum, and I would like to thank him for his message. The Prime Minister sent his message to the audience of Geospatial Forum India this afternoon, wishing good luck and expecting a report out of this conference. So that actually reminds me about the initiative of Prime Minister, which he took in July, wherein he directed all the ministries to come up with a strategy for using geospatial and space technology and consult Department of Space in case they need any help. So, Dr. Diwakar, would you like to enlighten a bit on that?
Yeah, this is an important initiative taken by the Prime Minister, and of course the entire PMO is behind him, and they are closely monitoring this particular initiative. A large number of ministries and departments have been approached. Of course, the Department of Space was supposed to play a key role in meeting them personally, explaining them the various technologies what ISRO has, and what benefit could they draw in their regular flagship programs or in their regular scheme of things. Things have gone pretty well in the sense a lot of discussion has taken place, a lot of new areas where possibly we wouldn't have thought of or the ministries wouldn't have thought of have also emerged. So there is a good coherence in thinking that has happened, and I'm sure there is going to be a big step forward as far as use of space technology by different ministries are concerned. There are ministries, at least I can think of about 10, 11 major ministries which are already using the space technology quite effectively. I wouldn't like to really talk about that because agriculture, forest, water resources, the INCOIS, which is there in Hyderabad, the Ministry of Earth Sciences, they're all excellently using the technology. I am talking about less known ministries, for example, post offices, or for example, Ministry of, what do you call, minorities, for example, or that kind of unknown ministries are also looking out for usage of the space technology. And I would like to say again, the technology is coming in a very big way to help them out because they are able to realize the power of crowdsourcing, which we have all been talking about. Crowdsourcing or controlled crowdsourcing or use of the terrestrial communication or mobile-based technology is helping them in a big way to do geotagging based applications. Plus again, the Gagan and IRNSS is also adding on to this. So that way there is a tremendous promise. I can easily name 50 ministries which are more or less finalizing their programs on how they can effectively use the space technology today.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that information. My last question of the day, and probably I will have quick comments from every one of you. Encouraged by what Mr. Satyanarayan presented to me, actually I'm very impressed the way he simplified the whole initiative to set up a strategy for the state, and that's a phenomenal work. My question goes to, again, Dr. Diwakar. It's actually not a question, but rather I would like to know from him, rather take his help. If we want to have a similar kind of strategy at the national level, to have a national geospatial strategy encompassing all these 5, 6 elements into that, where you talk of data acquisition, you talk of data integration, you talk of capacities, you talk of applications, you talk of providing a seamless portal where information can be collected, integrated, and all the line departments can use that information at the same time. And several application models could be built, which was probably thought over by National GIS strategy as well at some stage. How do we try to, as a community, how do we try to put forward this idea, and who should be the right nodal agency for us to go ahead and talk to them?
It's a tough question to answer in toto, but nevertheless, there are a lot of initiatives which has been taken in the country today. Mr. Shivkumar is sitting right in front of me. NSDI was one of the major initiatives taken way back in 2001. Right from that time, he has been driving it single-handedly, and to a large extent, we were successful in creating the metadatabase for the entire country. NSDI still exists today. That's a good platform which can be pushed further forward, and already NSDI is taking a lot of inputs from various resources and various ministries to take it forward. in our own way, we have contributed in various ways. We have been party to the NSDI. In addition to that, ISRO has put out its own Bhuvan Geo portal. Bhuvan Geo portal, we have tried our best to make it as a national platform, wherein it has wide varieties of ministries, programs, the state-based geoportals embedded in them. This could be an initiative which can be further taken forward because there is a whole lot of data. You have something like 2.5 meter resolution data for the entire country. The entire space data is flowing in. The entire geographic information with respect to the vectors are flowing in. A whole lot of crowdsourced data is already flowing into the system. It supports the disaster management in a big way. So that way, it is a multi-theme geoportal which is already existing. Possibly, I see it as a good portal to leverage that, to take it to higher levels so that it could serve the whole country's requirement. Because already, as the previous question what you asked, wherein how effectively the space technology can be used by all the ministries are getting integrated into geoportal of Bhuvan in a big way. So possibly this could pave the way for us. Maybe this would lead the way for realizing a major national portal. Of course, who would lead it, it will be difficult to say at this stage because all the ministries are part and parcel of this. I think we should look at it as a nation or a national goal, like what we should take it as a collective initiative to see that we leverage this. Not only the user ministries participate in this, the common man, the common public should participate. That is how we are looking at it as an all-inclusive platform so that there need not be a leader. There could be an orchestrator, for example, but everybody could contribute and we can have a collective forum to see that this kind of a portal comes up and everybody uses it. That is how I look at it as of now. Because otherwise, there is no end for talking about geoportals. There is no end for talking about positioning a portal which can be used by all. But it is necessary for you to position something which answers the question of the day. I wouldn't say that today Bhuvan Geoportal answers all the question, but certainly it has taken a step forward in the right direction wherein we are able to provide wide varieties of information on this particular geoportal. For example, when Mr. Satyanarayana approached us and when Chairman ISRO came in, we quickly provided for the entire Andhra Pradesh the total information on the geospatial platform. It is put out. In fact, we have a nice understanding of putting wide varieties of geospatial information for AP, including how you really plan for going for new capital, etc. So that way, there are various elements of technology as well as data which is already available on this particular geoportal. So one can take this forward possibly. That's what I feel as of now. But certainly we need to see how this new initiative of the Honorable Prime Minister takes forward so that we will be able to answer this particular question. Thank you.
So just to add to what Diwakar has mentioned, in terms of the nodal responsibility at the Government of India level, this question was debated, and Dr. Shivakumar was a party to that very much. And ultimately, it was decided that the Department of Science and Technology and the Department of Electronics and IT, which I was secretary of at that time, Dr. Ramaswamy and I were there. So it will be co-piloted by these two departments, and very rarely it happens, two departments trying to pilot a particular mission jointly, which we did for a project of the size of about 4,000 crores. So, but definitely other departments like Department of Earth, the Ministry of Earth Sciences could also join and make it more, robust and more well respected, so to say. So it is, it's a joint effort that is needed at this point of time to create such a policy and drive that mission.
Thank you, sir. And anyone, Mr. Pawar, you want to make any comment on this before we close?
I think the people who had to talk about it have already spoken. But I would say that whatever we hear the current government talking about, there are two messages that come out again and again. One is creating jobs and equipping people with skills. That's one big priority. And the second is about improved governance. So the second one, I think, talks to what we are discussing. So in skills, I just want to make a comment. There are 17 ministries which are involved in skills, from labor to rural development to education to industry and so on. And part of the problem in skills also has been that everybody is doing their bit. How do we combine them? And I think government has found one way, which is to create a new ministry with Mr. Rudy as the minister. But his task is not to carve out from 17 people what has come, because many things are embedded. In rural development, their work is embedded with building skills there. But to tie it together and build some more harmonization around what do we do about building skills, how do we popularize skills and so on. But a kind of a mission mode issue around building skills so that you are ready for creating talent to manufacture and create jobs. I think that will tie that piece together. A similar thing I think has to happen, or is intended to happen. If there has to be an improvement in governance, it means all wings of the government are coordinating and working together. So if the cyclone caused it to happen as a reaction, we need to see some positive cyclones to say now, these problems have to be solved. They cannot be done without coordination. The capabilities exist. It's not about one person or two people. It's about putting very challenging goals to groups of people and then getting them to adjust. So I think many of us and all of us are very hopeful that the challenge, the big challenges which are being articulated under various labels are being put there, and some roadmaps are being put together. So I'm quite hopeful that the proactive effort which is being put to deal with real issues of jobs on one side and better governance on the other side, that will force all the players to come together. That's my expectation.
Thank you very much, sir. And I think this has been a very excellent session. I would say very positive and constructive views have come together to discuss about certain challenges which we are facing, and those challenges have been seen in reality, as well as with a hope and a very constructive plan to mitigate those challenges to address the development objectives and goals of the country. So thank you to all of you.